This is something I'm really wrestling with. I had this long section in my, we release this AM update podcast in the mornings now. It's only like 16 minutes long usually, and it's the headlines of the day for people who don't have 2 hours to listen to the show. And we had a section in there this morning that I then removed. I taped it, I voiced it, I wrote it, and I took it out. It was about this Daily Mail article that got into the disgusting porn habits of the shooter. Oh. And I wanted to put it in there because it's just it's so vile. I think this man needs to be exposed for just how awful he is and was. This isn't a crazy person. This is an evil person. And that's my belief. And I couldn't do it. At the end, I just said, it's so dark. I can't put this in a morning podcast where people haven't even had their coffee. They're sitting there driving to school with their kids and so on. So I took it out. And I'm not going to get into the details here, but the sum and substance of it is this kid was all over, this young man, pornography and the most vile kinds of pornography that you can look at online. And it occurred to me, Frank, Charlie also constantly talked about the dangers of pornography and urged young men not to go there, while he urged them to get married, to even consider saving themselves for their wives, to have a family, to take care of their family, to be the breadwinner, to make the lives of their wives easy and as carefree financially as possible so that they could worry about other things. And it occurred to me that this man who shot Charlie was the living opposite of Charlie. Like one is a devil and one was an angel walking the earth at the same time with the most vastly different ideals and character, and just the incredible misfortune that their paths would line up, that Charlie would be in Utah where this man lived and trigger this sense of thinking so that he could steal him. And that leads me to my question to you as a man of faith, and as I am a woman of faith, but you know your Bible much better than I do. How could a loving God allow that devil to take this angel from us?
That is the hardest question to answer, Megyn. But one thing we do know is that it doesn't mean that God doesn't care, because his own son, who was innocent, was put on a cross to save us from our own iniquities. Because an infinitely just God can't allow any of us to go unpunished. Otherwise, he wouldn't be infinitely just. And look, we're all fallen. We all need a savior. None of us have lived the perfect life like Jesus has. But Jesus did live the perfect life, so he's our substitute. He takes the wrath of an infinitely just God upon himself, so you, me, and everyone else who's committed sins can be forgiven of those sins and also given the righteousness of God. That's why it's the greatest story ever told. In fact, a kind of the shortest summary I've ever heard of reality, Megyn, is this: God created it, we broke it, Jesus fixed it. God created it, we broke it, Jesus fixed it. We're all broken. Obviously, what this shooter did is horrific evil. But of course, we've all done evil ourselves, maybe not to that extent. I like to ask audiences, because I do this a lot on college campuses, they'll say, if there's a good God, why doesn't he stop all the evil in the world? And I normally say this, maybe because if he did, he might start with you and me, because we do evil every day. You ever notice when we complain about evil, we're always complaining about somebody else doing it? Hey, God, why don't you stop him? Why don't you stop her? We never say, God, why don't you stop me? And I ask audiences, I say, if God were to stop evil at midnight tonight, would you still be alive at 12:01? I wouldn't be, Megyn. So although we can ask questions, why did God allow this to happen? We know that God can bring good from it, just like he brought good from the crucifixion of his own son. And sometimes we can't see the good, but there's always a ripple effect, Megyn, always a ripple effect. We can see some of the ripples right now. Have you seen the nation begin to awake from its apathy regarding God, regarding Jesus, regarding love, and saying, we can't stand for this anymore. We have to do something. There's a spiritual awakening going on. And if you were to ask Charlie right now, would you give your life in order to awaken millions to the truth of what Jesus came to do, to save them for eternity? Would you do it? He would say, sign me up. because that was his mission anyway. Of course, he'd hate, obviously, to leave Erica and those two beautiful kids, but he would know the ripple effect. He would say, I would give my life for this. That was what he was all about, Megyn. He was Jesus number one. Everything else was secondary.
I know, it's true. I mean, I think when I listen to you, I think of a soldier. I think of, a Navy SEAL or a Ranger or a Green Beret, and they know the danger is immense before they jump out of this helicopter or go into this compound and storm, an ISIS-infected place. They know they might die. They're very aware that they might die, and they do it anyway because they're courageous, and there are some things greater than self that they're willing to sacrifice for. And I see Charlie that same way because he knew this was dangerous. I mean, he knew this had grown dangerous beyond a point where I think the rest of us expect it to be.
You're right. In fact, about 6 months ago, something happened in the news where someone prominent, I can't remember the exact situation, but somebody prominent got shot. And so I texted him, I said, Charlie, I hope you've increased your security detail. And he said, I have. I know they want me dead. Now, I don't think he had a specific they in mind, Megyn, but he knew that there was hostility. I mean, he got death threats all the time. And he knew there was hostility out there. And in fact, when we were driving into that event, this is the first event I've gone to a college campus with Charlie. He said, Frank, if you can come help me the first couple of days, could you stay an extra day and come with me to the first event? I said, of course. So we're driving in, Megyn, and his team has drones up looking at the crowd from above, and they text him some video. And there's thousands of people there an hour before the start. And I said, Charlie, I don't like this place. There's too many buildings. And but he shrugged it off. He knew there were thousands of people there. And he knew in order to minister to people, you can't completely isolate yourself. It's just like love. You can't keep your heart in a box. You got to give it away. If you keep it in a box, you'll protect it. It won't get hurt, but you won't love anyone. And Charlie loved people. He wanted to go out and interact with them. He wanted them to bring whatever question or objection they had to him so he could try and persuade them to the truth. And he knew that meant risk. And
do you think he was scared at all? That morning, did he have any sort of a premonition?
No, Megyn. He was. We got out of the car after we prayed, and so many people out there. There were all these kids from TPUSA lined up, and you take pictures with them. And then we're about to walk in. It was kind of an amphitheater, and you were walking in from the front of it, like right toward the crowd, and he's just going, "Welcome to the big leagues." It was like a Trump rally. Yeah. I mean, people were chanting USA, USA, and Charlie starts flipping hats, and I'm just standing there, with my phone going, this is amazing. And then somebody hands me hats. So I give my phone to Danny there, the guy that you had on the podcast yesterday, and he starts filming. And so I'm flipping hats,
Right. You're in on the action.
Yeah, it was just such a festive atmosphere.
We actually have a little tape of it, Frank. Let me show it. It's not 50.
Wow, look at that. Beautiful. Look at that. Just give him a little taste.
This is inside Charlie's car. Now he's out of it throwing hats. Wow, huge crowd. It's really incredible, Frank, because I remember Charlie doing these events, and you get like a handful of people who would show up and see him. And it had grown, as Andrew's been saying, into tent revivals.
It has. He was kind of a cross between Billy Graham and Rush Limbaugh.
Yes. Yes, that's perfect. Exactly right.
It was like people who, even if they weren't Christians, loved him. And even if people weren't conservatives, but they were Christians, loved him. Everybody on the secular and Christian right loved him.
Yep. And in the middle, I think, too. He had the middle. He didn't have the left.
Yeah, no, but he was reaching out to the left.
When inflation jumps, when you hear the national debt is over $37 trillion, do you ever think maybe now would be a good time to buy some gold? Well, you'd be right. Whether as a hedge against inflation, peace of mind during global instability, or just for sensible diversification, Birch Gold Group believes every American should own physical gold. And so they created something special. Until September 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 in free metals on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, request an info kit right now. Just text MK to 989898. Plus, Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you're still eligible for a rebate in free metals of up to 10 grand. So make right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate up to $10,000 when you buy before September 30th. Text MK to the number 989898 to claim your eligibility and get your free info kit. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.